You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and John.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Guitar Talk. I am Dave.
And I am John. And I am excited to be here.
All right. Yes, John's calling from a remote location somewhere in Wisconsin.
That's correct. And it's literally
Yeah.
is somewhere
What's
in
out there?
Wisconsin. If you ask me what's in Wisconsin around me right now, I'd say trees. I don't even know. I think I'm outside of
Okay.
a town called New Berlin, but I'm not sure what town I'm actually in right now. It might be Muskego, not to be confused with
Oh.
Muskegon, which is in Michigan. But I'll tell you this, and folks who are listening in Indiana, you got your work cut out for you. The time that I spent in Indiana last week, outside of the Sweetwater campus, Indiana was a mess. Inside of the Sweetwater campus, it was beautiful. So my listeners who are in Indiana, do something about that. Make it better. Wisconsin's got you edged
Well, you're
right now.
talking. It's Fort Wayne, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I mean Fort Wayne. It's got like 4 strip clubs and 3 Hooters, and that's
didn't
all
see
that's
any.
in that town.
I didn't see any of the Hooters, but speaking of strip clubs, we were commenting the whole time about the fact that there was a Showgirls 1 and a Showgirls
Yes.
3, but no Showgirls 2 anywhere in sight. And we even asked one of the guys at Sweetwater, what's the story with Showgirls 2? And he said they shut it down.
Yeah,
So
wasn't it
they're
a
used to-
deja vu?
How in the hell would you
I think
know?
it was. You don't want it.
Good God, how much
You
time
don't
have you
wanna
spent in
know.
Fort Wayne?
I've spent a few weeks in Fort Wayne, actually.
No kidding.
I had a good friend that was there, and Sullivan and I, back in 2000, did a cross-country trip where we drove up to Fort Wayne, hung out with our friend Terry for 2 weeks, and then drove zigzag down to Scottsdale, and then went back to LA. We had a good time.
Yeah, right on. So this
Yeah.
week, this past week, I was at Sweetwater. They held their big Gear
Okay.
Fest, and Gear Fest was pretty outstanding. That company's got their SHIT together. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah.
They know what's going on. They organized the whole thing. You got there. All the vendors that were there, load-in was simple and organized. Breakdown was simple and organized. It was nothing like NAMM.
Right.
Much easier.
Now, let me just ask you: were there other manufacturers that went there,
Mhm.
or was it mainly?
That's the whole event.
Oh, okay.
That's the whole event. They bring in.
Gotcha.
It's almost like a little mini trade show that they do for their customer base. And there was a lot of
Nice.
people over
And
the
let me
2
ask you
days.
this question because I'm sure it's on the. I'm going to speak from the minds of all the viewers out there.
Hmm?
Was Gibson there?
They did have a presence there. But
Alrighty.
I swung by their tent for a minute, took a look inside, saw that Mark wasn't there, and just rolled on through because I didn't really care.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Gibson was there, Fender was there, Yamaha was there, Friedman, Dr. Z, Magnatone, which we need to touch on, all kinds
Sure.
of pedal manufacturers. There was a lot. Bert and Lonnie.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was pretty busy. There was a lot there. A lot of people came through. Surprising number of people. It was probably a couple thousand people coming through.
Really?
We sold, like my company, we sold a lot of pickups. So we do
Alright.
the acoustic pickups, and sold a lot. It was a
Nice.
good weekend.
Yeah.
Today, I drove through a giant rainstorm to get here to the lovely middle of nowhere, Wisconsin.
So wait, you're not traveling by plane. You're driving.
I rented a car in Fort Wayne, and what I'm doing is I'm driving to see stores to talk about Cremona and K&A pickups, and I'm doing that for Milwaukee, down to Chicago, over to Lansing, over to Detroit, and then flying home from Detroit.
Right. But
So.
did you already go through Chicago? Didn't you have to go through Chicago already?
Yeah, I drove from Fort Wayne up to Milwaukee, which is
Oh,
where
okay.
I'm outside of Milwaukee now. But
Right.
it does, because of the lake, it doesn't make sense to start in Chicago, because then you got to go up to Milwaukee and then all the way back down and around, right?
Right.
So geographically, it just made sense to go through it. So here
And
I am.
you're up to Milwaukee going to the Shots Brewery.
Yes.
It's where
No.
Laverne and Shirley worked.
No, I did go to a place called Bass Bay Brewery with my buddy James. He works for Korg, and that place was awesome. Great beer, great food.
What's the old classic beer out of Milwaukee? Begins with a B.
Oh, I don't remember.
Is it Blart? What the hell's the name of that beer?
It's Algonquin.
Because I just
Pretty good.
this week we could hammer a lot of issues that people are actually stirring about. Obviously, one of them is the Play Authentic video with Mark, which is an
Right.
unfortunate thing, as you and I have personally discussed. But as far as I mean, what it means for Gibson and what they're doing, I mean, we really haven't spoken about that, nor have we talked about the lawsuit against Dean.
Right.
First, let's
Right.
start with the lawsuit with Dean Guitars.
Okay.
We've been down this road before with Gibson. We've seen their lawsuits. They're very litigious. And I don't have a problem with somebody trying to protect a trademark. I have a problem with advertising it. That being said, we'll go back to the video. But as far as the lawsuit goes, I don't think you can sit there and say, well, I own this shape. Because let's just say one guy makes a V, and in the interim of the years, the V may have changed because they modify them. Well, which one do you own? You can't say you own all of them. So it comes down to, and then there's really nothing. I mean, the Flying V's been around since 1957 or 58, I think, right? It was designed by Seth Lover with McCarty.
I think it's 58, yeah.
Yeah. So everyone's been making a V. When Jackson made a V, what are you going to sit there and go, oh, their V's different enough? Well, they can keep adjusting it and doing anything they want. I mean, so I think Gibson's fighting a battle they can't win here. And I do think it's to try to dissuade smaller factories from coming out and doing what they're doing. And, you know, I'm not saying Dean's doing the right thing or a smart thing, but it's fucking Dean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
and it's like, and it's not, you're not touching the trademark. The trade dress is like Mark was like saying in the video, oh, the, you know, listing all the stuff, and he included the F holes and the shape on the, and it's like, yeah,
and everything, yeah.
Yeah, but that those are not trademarks. They're not trademarks, and they're not trade dress. They're nowhere near the logo, which is the true trademark. The shape of the headstock and the pineapple, yes, because those are trade dress. But I just don't think. I think all Dean will have to do is go in and cry laches, which is a law that says, well, you didn't sue all these other Flying V people, so now you, which just throws the thing out.
But yeah, Hamer was building the Flying V in the Explorer shape before Dean was, right? They came out in the earlier part of the 70s. But even as far as that goes, Dean has been making the Flying V since 77 or 76.
Yeah.
And Gibson has no history of filing a suit on them. And I think the courts after 40 some odd years are just going to say you have no history of defending yourself. So
Right.
It doesn't stand. And I think Fender has tried this before as well. Tried trademarking their body shapes and it didn't succeed. You know, you never know. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I don't think Gibson's going to win. I don't see how they do. And regarding the headstock shape's not even the same.
No.
It's similar, but everybody who uses a 3x3 headstock shape is, you know, could be construed as similar.
Sure.
But it's not,
like
it's
I
not
said,
the same.
I don't see it ending well for Gibson. And I don't really see the point of it much because I think it just puts them in bad light.
Well, they're owned by big money now, right? It's an investment group that owns them, and
Sure.
I'm wondering how much of it is just like we want to build it up to resell it and get a bunch of money out of it. So they might not care what the light is. They might just be trying to say we're going to get
No, no, but
money wherever we can get it. I don't know. I really
right,
don't.
but it's short-sighted because all you're asking is if you're dropping all the people because now everything is on the web. So everyone can go on YouTube and watch videos and bloviate a story and do anything and
Mhm.
I it's just like I said when Curly came out, James Curley, and he was
125 years.
we've been doing this for I said it was like that Michael Crawford movie. We plant the seed, we grow the food, right?
Exactly. What a great
We
movie, by the way.
awesome. We
Yeah.
feed the planet, right? That's exactly what I felt like. It's like thanks for these talking points while you're poisoning everybody. The thing with Gibson, my point is if you want to grow your brand, why not make, and I brought this up in one of my videos, why not say, here's the traditional Les Paul. We're going to call this the Les Paul Standard. And here's a Les Paul Modern. Now, instead of the traditional headstock with the mustache that's a little old barbershopish, let's put a Pat Martino headstock on it. Let's give it a faster feeling neck with no finish on it. And let's put like a man-made tremolo, not a Floyd, but like just a tremolo on it, like a PRS. And do other modern things. Put a tummy cut in there. Do things where people could say, that's different and new. And they started that in 2019. And this is the other stuff that's not going anywhere, but it's been designed since 1950. When is that
Yeah.
designed? 57. 50, yeah, 57 basically with the humbuckers and that whole look.
Yeah.
So, but some people say in the comments, it's 52. I mean the look that it is today.
Yeah.
And
Just like you just said about the people that are going to comment on what you're talking about right now. Can you imagine? And you know this will happen as well. Even if they did that plan like you're suggesting they roll out, which is a great idea, you make one that appeals to the traditionalists and you make one that's
right.
new and modern. The people that are the traditionalists are going to stop paying attention to the traditional one and they're going to focus all of their anger on the new one and it's going to
Yeah,
be
I
stupid.
don't
You know
no,
they will.
like
You know there's going
no,
to be so
because
many
like
people
look at
online that are like,
guys. No,
"Ah, it's
but
terrible."
but as
They
long
all
as you pay
do.
detail to the tradition and you still try to make new colors and new things for the traditional, but for the modern guy, they have to be like, wow, Gibson is trying to innovate. Like you have an SG, and then you do something else that's modern to it. Make it something where people are like, oh, that is cool. Like they are doing modern changes to their old designs. And that's where people will be like, these guys are the real deal. They did it back then. And basically, what happened was you had like Gibson and Fender owning like 80% of the market share combined. And what happened is then you had Jackson and Kramer come out and say, hey, guys, fuck off.
Hmm.
Here's what people want now. And if it wasn't for the music industry changing and people going back to the vintage looking guitars, those guys would have been bankrupt. They would have been nothing because you have to have the market for it. So now there's a market for it, but you've opened the door to PRS. PRS comes out and says, "Here's a Les Paul, but with modern appointments and made for the newer player."
Right, right.
And Gibson basically wrote them a check and said, basically, go do it because we're not doing it.
Right.
And Ibanez came out and took over the modern metal scene, and then ESP, those guys. I mean, how many guitar companies came in and made super strats where Fender can't even make a decent one?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like these guys who's like, this design was done in 1958 and we're going to sue Dean for it now. It's like, hey, shitbag, we've already fallen asleep on that shape.
Hmm.
Way to stay current.
Yeah. They want to stay authentic.
Yeah.
I'm wondering who wrote the video.
Oh, it's somebody obviously in their PR. I can tell you it's probably not Mark. He looked uncomfortable reading it when you can
Yeah.
watch him read it in the video. He looked uncomfortable reading it. I think in some of the parts there was like a little nervous laughter because he had to think like this doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
And then they're also saying things that aren't necessarily true about,
Like the
covering
film
up,
licensing and all that
all
stuff.
that
Yeah.
stupid stuff. So I just thought the whole video in general was like it was
Yeah.
unfortunate because you and I know Mark, and Mark
Yeah.
is like he sometimes can be a hipster doofus, but I think that's what I always liked about him. He's like this he it's true. And I love the kid, but it's like but he's a hipster doofus type of guy with his leather coat and he is who he is, but he's a real nice kid. And
He's great.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean
I feel bad because he's getting shit on from every angle, and even if he is, even if he's at fault for making the video, maybe he made the video, which none of us believe. But even if he did, like, it's a misstep. It's a misstep. But I don't know. I guess this is like part of being an online celebrity. You're just gonna get shit on when you make that misstep. Whether it's him or whether it's them, I don't know. I have a feeling it's them. I don't
oh yeah,
anticipate seeing Mark making a video where he keeps repeating the phrase 125 years. That's their talking point right now.
right.
And they made sure that that was in there at least 10 times.
And the thing about it, it's like, yeah, you know what, Curly? For the last 20 years, you've been selling Levi's. You're new to the party. Don't tell us about Gibson's 120. And first of all, Gibson may have been around 125 years. 99.9% of the planet doesn't give a fuck about them till 1954.
Yeah,
So
sure.
piss off
Yeah. You want to
with the
talk about
125 years.
authentic? I wonder if they're paying any royalties or any homage to the Torres estate, because everybody in this industry is using the Torres design. That's where the guitar came from.
Well, Gibson makes a
Fair enough.
dreadnought. Gibson
Yeah,
makes a dreadnought. They might owe the little money to Martin.
right. Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's like everybody designs something and then everybody learns from that design. The automobile industry works that way. Architecturally, it works that way. Um, and it's like either you survive by making a superior product that's authentic, or you go and you try to be litigious because your shit sucks.
right.
And
Could you
that's
imagine what the amp industry would look like if the same cannibalistic, litigious sort of ideology was in place in the amp industry?
everybody would owe Fender money.
Everybody, they'd be the
Yeah,
only amp company standing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
every every single
Marshall's
one
a
of them.
Fender bassman with
Yeah,
a couple of tweaks. Yeah,
it's really unbelievable.
it's insane. And so then you have like somebody said to me that Ernie Ball owns the four tuners on one side and two on the other. But I was like, I remember Brian Moore guitars had a 4 and 2.
Is that right? Yeah, that is right. Yeah.
I don't know what people are talking about. That would never hold up in court because if the function, because of the headstock, provides that you need to use 4 and 2, you can't sit there and say, we own that. I thought that was
Right.
silly. I'd like to see somebody show me some documentation that shows that Ernie Ball owns that.
Well, I think something that I heard this week was part of the reason that Fender couldn't do anything about protecting their body shape is because the the body shape has to do with like the natural curves of the human body, and you can't protect that because there's
It's
an
a
ergonomic
functionality.
Yeah, there's an ergonomic thing that you just can't protect because it's necessary.
Right, it's the functionality of the body of the guitar itself.
Yeah.
And and also the only real way that you would even have a dog in the fight is if you put the brand name and logo on the body when you came out with the design.
Right. Well, now they're also trying to do other things. It's not just the body they're not just trying to get the trademarking of the body, but they're also trying to do counterfeit and market dilution. But I don't think there's anybody in the world that's mistaking a Dean for a Gibson.
No, no, that's how
Nobody's
they lost.
mistaking. Yeah, nobody's
That's how
mistaking
they.
any of these other brands for a
That's how
Gibson.
they
It
lost.
doesn't
That's
say
how they
Gibson.
lost the PRS.
Yeah, it's like,
And
dude.
PRS was like, yeah, I mean, and Gibson, I think, was like, but if you went into a smoky bar and you saw a guy on stage, you would think it was a Gibson. And so the judge was like, so what? At point of sale, there's no confusion, and that's what has to matter.
Mm.
Who cares if you look on stage? Hey, is that a Fender? Is that a Sir? Who gives two shits?
Wouldn't it hypothetically be better for somebody if they went into a smoky bar and they were like, "Wow, what's that guitar player playing? Looks like a Gibson." That's if they think that, all of a sudden that person in the crowds, I mean, they're not saying, "Oh, it's a Gibson. Good thing
No, but
I'm
the
not playing a
problem is,
Gibson because this bar band sucks." Nobody's
right, the
saying that.
problem is they find out it's a PRS and they're like, I'm going to go check those out because that's what a modern Les Paul should look like.
Yeah,
Because those other guys are sitting on their hands thinking they can only make one version of the Les Paul.
yeah,
You
that's
know,
too bad.
Fender makes a two humbucker Strat. They make, they do
They
all
do.
kinds of things.
That two humbucker Strat, by the way, those I guess the new version's the Shawbucker version, but the wide range humbucker. Have you ever heard one of the real, like the old wide range humbuckers?
Yes, off
I don't
the
think I don't think I ever have,
72 Deluxe.
but not the reissue. Have you ever heard the real
No, the
one?
real one. Well, I mean, I heard it
I don't think I have.
on the Stones records. I have. It's what
Okay,
Keith
got it.
used.
Yeah. No, I was curious because the reissues are nothing like it because I guess the original magnets are not available. You can't get them. That's
Yeah, I
a
don't remember.
composite material that's called like Cunife, and it's what is it? Copper, nickel, and whatever Fe is. I can't think of what the
Iron.
alloy is. Yeah, there it is. Copper, nickel, and iron. And yeah, I guess they just don't manufacture it anymore. Nobody does.
Uh,
So you can't get the sound of those original pickups anymore. In
and that
fact,
pickup was designed by Seth Lover.
it was, and it was designed different. I did some reading on it this week. I never
Yeah,
knew about this. It was designed completely different from a traditional humbucker. A humbucker, you
that's
have the
right.
bar magnet at the bottom, and these use pole magnets just like single coils.
Yeah, because he
Which
wanted a brighter sound.
I didn't know that. That was really cool to read about. But the disappointing thing is learning that you can never find one that's an exact replacement of it. It's
Right,
always going to be an Alnico replacement or some sort of variant, but it's never going to be that Cunife or whatever they call it.
right. But
Um,
who knows? I mean, and in the scheme of things, who knows if it's good? It could suck.
what you mean that magnet material?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
have no idea because I've
I
never had
mean, they're
direct
not making
experience.
it for a reason. I'm just saying it could be that it just wasn't good. Although I think is iron the most ferrous material?
I don't know.
I think it is. Anyways, but I just think that the it could be good, it could be bad. The wide range in itself by what its design is, I just don't care. I didn't really find a need for it. Obviously, I mean I
Yeah,
do like a brighter sounding pickup, and
yeah. I
but
can't even
yes,
speak to it. I don't know. I've never played it, but I do know that the modern version of it is just a Shawbucker in the same case. So it's not even the individual pole piece magnets, it's a bar magnet. So it's probably going to sound nothing like the original thing. It's
right.
just going to sound
And
like
they
a
make
humbucker.
a big deal about these Shawbuckers. It's
That's because
like,
they make a big deal out of everything.
but it's do you remember like when the Shawbuckers were like on what the 78 to 80 Les Pauls or something?
I don't know.
But I think that's what they when they brought him in, and it's like back then you couldn't give that guitar away.
Yeah.
The second now that Henry took over the company in the mid 80s, Henry and Dave. I should say Henry and David because I think David was the bigger shareholder.
Mm.
And when those guys took over that company, all of a sudden everyone was like, "Oh, you got to find one of the old ones." What are you talking about? 2 years ago, you told me the thing sucked.
Say.
No, I know it's unbelievable. It's like,
Well, that's why I was saying what I was saying earlier about Gibson. Like they could roll out the designs you talked about, and people are still going to throw a fit because they're nuts.
right, but the one of the big changes is going to that Pat Martino headstock because I think it's a sexier headstock for the Les Paul, and it would separate it from the vintage series.
I'll tell you, I'd rather have a Pat Morita headstock.
Oh yeah, wax on, wax off. Are you looking up the Pat Martino?
You said wax off.
Wax on. Dude, I was watching, this is complete side note, everybody. Please do not pay attention. I was watching MacGruber today. Have you seen MacGruber?
It's the best.
When he says,
Pat Martino headstock is awful. You like that?
No, it's the thin one. The thin headstock? Yeah, I love it.
Oh, it's horrible.
Straight string pull. It's all the modern stuff.
The straight string pull is what you want for sure, but they managed to make it ugly.
I think it would look good. But here's the thing. It's already a trademarked headstock. It's known.
Right.
I'd put that on a Paul. I think it looks good.
Do it. Get it. What about MacGruber?
Oh, man. How come he killed your wife? He goes, I don't know. You know, we were good friends in college. And he was dating her. And then he asked me to be the best man at his wedding. And that's about the time I started banging her.
I asked her to abort his child or whatever.
Right, exactly. If I would have got to that point, I have tears in my eyes. And Ryan Felipe is looking at him like, he goes, that's fucked up. And he goes, oh, yeah, thanks. Like he thinks he's...
Right. How did you know I was wearing a bulletproof vest? You're wearing a bulletproof vest?
You were wearing a vest?
It's an unbelievable movie.
So now there's been like crazy reaction to the Mark Agnesi video.
I'm seeing memes about the guy and everything.
I had some guy comment on my video going, yeah, you're friends with Mark. When was the last time you two hung out? He's an asshole. You got to get your head out of your ass. He sells T-shirts on his website that says Straturday. I'm like, that's your point of the guy being an asshole? I'm like, you just sound like a jealous douche. It's like, the hell you talking about? Like, this guy is defining, I can't be friends with somebody and call them occasionally if they live in a different state. I must hang out with the guy regularly.
I'll tell you, the industry opinion on this, meaning all the guys, all the sales reps and the marketing people that I was talking to this week from all the different companies, were all kind of saying the same thing. All of them. We can't believe Gibson let this out.
Yeah.
They were all basically saying like, man, I have a real hard time believing this was Mark. But the bigger picture was, how do they let this folly happen? You know,
it's unbelievable.
Everybody's like, somebody thought this was a good idea and nobody thought it was a bad one. Come on.
Right.
But,
no, it's unbelievable because
really
you're not really saying anything. I mean, do you need to look? Let's put it this way. Let's just say right now, tomorrow, someone says, "Hey, John, you're going to take over Gibson," and this thing never happened. Would you sit there and if somebody in your legal department brought you up stuff of counterfeit stuff, would you ever air how you're going to handle it or what you think of it?
Making it public no.
You're just going to keep it quiet. Hope that no one catches that you're suing people and take care of business.
I mean, there are moments where I'm sure they're validated and sending out a cease and desist. Or not validated, but I'm sure they're legitimate, whatever the word I'm looking for is. They probably have a good reason. And you know what? When they send out a cease and desist to somebody, which I don't know, I'm just saying sometimes maybe, I don't know, but it shouldn't be like, it shouldn't be some big stupid public showing. It shouldn't be a video where your new customer experience guy, right, the guy who you're putting there to be a shining face that everybody likes, and the first thing you're going to do is have him come out there and look like an idiot. That's not
Gonna
good.
Rochambeau him.
Dude, they just moved him to Nashville. He's got his family in tow. He's got no, he's not connected to that town yet. And the first thing you do is roll that out. That's like, God, here's a little bit of rope. We're going to hang you with it.
Yeah, it's just really bizarre, especially when it's like, we want you to love us, which I thought that was bizarre. Like, why would you say to someone, we want you to love us, instead of say, hey, listen, we feel for 125 years we made quality instruments. We want to make quality instruments for 125 more years. But if you want to buy a quality product, you'll buy from me. All right, I'll buy from you.
They should have said that. They should have.
Right, that's right out of Tommy's Boy.
Yeah, they should have done the Tommy Boy shtick.
Right. In fact, you could have just.
I can take a dump on a box. I got spare time.
I can take a dump in a box and market guaranteed. I got spare time. But if you want to buy a quality product, you'll buy it from me. All right, I'll buy it from you. What?
That's the best.
Yeah, I mean, but there's charm to that, and charm goes a long way. If you're out there and you're just sitting there saying, "Oh, and here's a warning to you. You've been put on notice." What? Like, whoever wrote the line, "You've been put on notice," should be right now resigning.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's like, you have got to be the dumbest mutt. And Gibson, with dealing with years of Henry just being a douche, and the only innovation Henry coming out with is, here's the Dusk Tiger and the Firebird X. Hey, asshole, go pound sand with your shit telling us what the future is. Instead of just going to guitar players and say, what are you looking for in a guitar? And you know what? You don't even have to go look, because there are people that love the Gibson brand but are kicking themselves saying, geez, I really love a PRS. Gibson could make that modern guitar and give PRS a taste of their own medicine. And instead, they're out there saying, you've been put on notice. Christ.
Mic drop. Yeah. Yeah, it stinks. I
saw your Coca-Cola ad a minute ago, so I'm going to do a Pepsi one.
That's true. Yeah. A little Coke Zero. Is that Pepsi Zero?
Nope. It's just Diet Pepsi. Here's my problem with Coke Zero. Too sweet. Tastes like real sugar to me. I don't like it.
I haven't had, it kind of does taste like real sugar.
Yeah.
I haven't had the Diet Pepsi. I don't think ever. Diet Coke's kind of funny tasting to me, so I don't really.
Yeah, it's bitter.
That. Yeah. Anyway, good stuff here. Magnetone amplifiers. You ever had a chance to play one?
I am.
What's his name? Is it Ted Kornblum? Is he the builder? I think it's Ted Kornblum.
I'm not sure. I just saw that they're back again.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been out a few years now, and it's no surprise Billy Gibbons is endorsing them, because Billy Gibbons in a given year is endorsing someone.
That's unbelievable. He never endorses an amp company.
Yeah, Billy Gibbons is always endorsing somebody. It's so
Billy
strange.
Gibbons' name is awesome, because you can go look up at every amp company and look at the endorsees, and he's listed.
Every single one, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that just tells me he's
guitars with Joe Walsh.
He wants to endorse. I don't even know if he wants to endorse stuff. I think he just wants to play what he wants to play. He hears a good amp, he probably says, "Yeah, I like that. I'm going to use that. Can we put your name on our website?" I don't give a shit. It's probably how that conversation goes.
Yeah. Give me the amp and you can.
Yeah, but he's been doing the Magnetone thing. But god dang, I heard some Magnetones this weekend. They sounded amazing.
Oh, they did? Now, what's the tube? What's the power tube?
They've got different stuff. The one that I heard this weekend that was kind of making me go, ew, was called the Twilighter Stereo.
Yeah.
And it's a true stereo amp, and this particular baby is using 6 V6s, which is
that's what I like. Yeah,
it's up your alley. And the output on it it's 22 watts a side, so it's a true stereo. It's 2 amps built in.
Wow,
here.
hold it, 22 a side.
22 a side.
It takes 4 tubes, huh?
Yeah. quad of
Wow.
6v6s. There's a lot of tubes in this amp. In fact, I'm looking at it right now. It also has a tube-driven reverb and
Yeah,
vibrato. So
and
there's
that's average. I
7.
think to get 11 watts out of each tube is average for a
Right.
6v6.
Well, yeah, no, I know that, but I'm talking about everything else. This amplifier has 7 preamp tubes because 2 of them are used for the reverb and the vibrato, and 5 are in the front end of the amp. So
Wow.
you've got 7 there, and it's tube rectified. So you've got
Okay.
12 bottles in the back of this amp. That's a lot. That's going to be a couple $100 to when you
But it
need to change
sounds
your
good.
tubes. Dude, it sounded amazing. It was so swirly and it was just gorgeous. Everything
And
that
the
the guy that
tremolo
was
was nice. Was it
demoing
because it was? Could you get the
fantastic.
trem to go slow?
Yeah, yeah. You would love this thing. You
Are
got to
these
find
hand
it.
wired or are they?
Yeah, and they're expensive. I think this amp
Oh, I
is.
know. They're like $3,000, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say street on this one. I think is 3. It's got a pair of 12s, Alnico 12s, and yeah, the thing just no, they're not Alnico, they're ceramic. The thing's just killed. It sounded fantastic. It was
And
really
made
beautiful
in made
sounding
in
amplifier.
USA.
Right. Yeah.
Where is it made?
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. Somewhere in the US, but it's
Well, you don't need
make a-
another ramp. How's that Dr. Z going?
I'm not shopping for one, but I
No,
know
I
that you
know.
might.
No,
Oh, you
not
would
a
love it.
magnetone.
Dude, you'd love it.
You know what I hate? You know what I vamp? I've decided I just don't care for
What's that? The Mesa Boogie.
the night train.
You liked it 5 minutes ago.
I can get a decent sound out of it, but it's a nasally sounding amp in general.
Sure, it's not just your cabinet.
No, I got a nice speaker there.
Yeah, but
And,
I mean, it's still a 112 with a V30. Have you tried it with any other cabinets?
I have not,
You should try it with another cabinet and see what you think.
but it might have
Anyway.
to leave my possession.
Yeah, you got enough stuff.
Yeah, I
Floor,
don't
that
care.
floor behind you is sagging from all that weight.
Yeah, and then here you have I put this board back together. You can't see it, but I put the Duelist on my board that just everything goes in the front end.
Right?
And I'm really
It's a killer.
enjoying the Duelist.
I am. I like to say like, oh, I'm going to try it. I want to try it, but it's hard to try because it's $300. It's a big try.
350.
Oh, jeez. Hey.
Yeah.
So I spent some time this weekend with Mike Zate. That was awesome.
Dr. Z.
The infamous Dr. Z. And kid, I gotta say, he was one of the nicest guys ever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know me and my personality. It's awful. Most
Yeah.
people don't want to be seen with me, right?
Of course.
So I'm sitting there having a conversation with Mike, and when I'm getting ready to leave, I said to him, "Man, I should let you get back to work." And he's like, "No, stick around." And I'm like, "Not really. I gotta get back to work." He's like, "You sure?" And I was like, "Wait, you want me to be here? Jesus, what's wrong with you?"
Right.
So, no, I assume if anybody wants me around, they've got something wrong with them. But nice, super nice guy.
Yeah.
Those amps are great.
And where is he located?
Cleveland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Cleveland, Ohio.
And now yours, is it an 84 or 34 platform?
84.
Yeah. And that's what this is. You know what I'm getting, and that's why I want to get rid of the night train. I think I'm over the 84s. I want to go just 6v6.
I don't think 84s in general are honky though.
No, maybe not, but they're not that sizzle bright that I like.
It could just be that. I mean, it could just be the amps. Something's in the circuit you don't like. It's the EQ'd funny or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I don't think you generally hear. I don't think you hear a lot
Have
of
you played much? Have you played much through that amp?
the Night Train.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
So you have the fat sound, and then the
I don't-
regular.
I don't own one. If that tells you anything.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It wasn't really my body type, you know.
Yeah.
But let's see, who else we hang out with this week? Hung out with the guys from Quilter. Not
Uh,
really my not really my thing, but nice guys.
yeah.
Yeah, I gotta
Yeah, I
there's
met the Quilter guys back during the LA Amp show, and I thought they were
okay.
okay guys. I mean,
Was
everyone, look,
probably
everyone that's in,
Chris Park was the guy that he designs all. I think in
I'm
all
not a fan of.
honesty, they're close in terms of what they're trying to do. I had a conversation with him. Here's my thing with the modeling stuff, where I think the market went wrong, and he kind of pushed back on me a little bit about this, but I think you'll
Wait,
agree with me somewhat.
Are Quilters modeling amps, or are they just solid
No,
state amps?
no, they're solid state, but what I'm trying to say is when the whole modeling thing came out, and even they kind of came out after the modeling thing.
Right.
Quilters, they
Yes.
shouldn't they shouldn't get lumped in because they're designing their own circuit, and they don't even use the ICE class D power chips. They're making their own power chips. They've got their own unique design. And I think, quite honestly, I think they sound good. It doesn't feel as saggy as a tube amp does. But this is my point. I'm comparing them against tube amps. And what I was going to say is when it comes to all this solid state stuff that's out now, and they went down the road of modeling and all this stuff, I think the big letdown is when they just, and by nature they compare the modeling to tube amps because they're modeling tube amps. But any of these companies who's making a solid state product and they're comparing it to a tube amp, I just think it's a marketing failing because it's a game you can't win. You can do a great job and you can get damn close. And even you yourself, you've said you like playing your modeling amps, you have no problem with them.
Yeah.
But for a lot of guys out there, it's just like you can't win because you're trying to tell them, listen to this, it sounds just like it. And automatically they're looking for things to say, no, this is different, this is different, this is wrong, this is not the right feel. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it's like um, comparing a small dog to a cat. It's the same thing, same size. They both weigh 9 pounds. They're fucking different. Just
Yeah, here's my thought about it, and it has a lot to do with the individual player. As a kid growing up, I had a PV Bandit,
right,
which I didn't even want to play in the house because it just didn't sound great to me.
right.
But I would go out and deck it and play in bands, and it sounded pretty good actually. It wasn't bad. But when I stayed home and practiced, I would always just not use an amp. Then I got a dual rectifier in the 90s. And again, I wasn't really practicing with an amp. So when I go to play an amp, I'm just playing. The amp is there, but I don't rely so much on the amp as much. So therefore, like, I'm not looking for the amp to perform a certain way to make me feel better. I'm
Right.
just looking for it to sound a certain way. So there are some solid state amps you hear. Like when I hear a Roland Jazz Chorus, I love that sound.
Right.
Uh, I can't get that sound out of a Marshall, but I can't
Right.
get
But
but I
Marshall's not claiming. My point is
right.
about
No,
the
my point is,
marketing.
but I can't get the Marshall sound out of the Jazz Chorus either.
Right, right, right.
Right, and so, when it comes with the modeling amps, I think people are relying far too much on how the amp is responding with them because they play the amp, and whereas I just plug in, and it's like, all right, it sounds good. It's like I'm playing without it plugged in anyway. I don't care. So I think the modeling amps sound great because there's no way the listener end, if you're behind a wall or behind a
Sure.
curtain, are going to know what the hell you're playing.
Well, that
It's
was my
all to the
point. Yeah, that was my point about the quilter that I was playing. I thought it sounded good, but the feeling was too fast.
yeah.
The response is too snappy. Doesn't quite sag like a tube amp, but the listener would never know.
I
But this
use
is why I was saying this is the failing that I feel as a guitar player when it's like always compared to a tube amp. It's like, dude, just tell everybody it sounds great and give it a try. That comparison just sucks because it doesn't benefit you as a company.
right, and the other thing is all tube amps don't sound great. So just to have someone play the amp. My
Absolutely.
problem with Quilter is I went to watch a buddy of mine's gig in a small pub, and he called me up. He had a second amp on stage, was a Quilter. He plays a Quilter himself. And he's like, sit in on a song. And I said, all right, I'll sit in. So he had it all set, and he's like, is that okay? The sound okay? And I'm like, you know the amp, just set it up for like a lead sound. It's a blues band. So, anyways, he set it up, and afterwards, he came over when I was sat back down. He goes, "What do you think of that amp?" And I'm like, "I hate it. I don't know if it's the amp or if it's the way you set it up, but I would never play that amp again." And
I wonder what one it was.
yeah, I don't know. You know what it was? It just sounded dead to me. It was a life, and it could be his setting. That's why I'm trying to
Yeah.
be fair. The amp could have
I
been
think
great.
I think it may have been. So I played
Yeah,
two of them. Two of them this
yeah.
week where audibly, I was like, yeah, these sound pretty damn good, but physically just didn't feel what I expect. Doesn't mean it felt bad. It didn't feel bad. It just felt fast.
Yeah. But what do you think? You know whose amps I think should be more out there, and I think he prices himself out, is Andy Fuchs. Because I love
Yeah.
his amplifiers. But I'm like, why aren't these everywhere?
I remember going to Guitar Center Westwood with my pal Chris, and he was showing me this BE 100 that was there. You got to play one of these. These things are awesome. And there was an ODS 100 there as well. And both of us preferred the ODS 100 after we played them. That
Oh,
ODS 100. And he makes such a damn good amp. It's nuts. It's
he's
absolutely
phenomenal.
nuts. He's a great builder.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an expensive product. I mean, what's that amp run? That's a $3,400 amp, right?
I think it's more.
Hmm. Well, I'm thinking
I
like the
just
Bogner Helios 100 is like 34, 3600. The
That's
Friedman stuff is
expensive
kind of,
too.
it's up in that range as well. That's just where these things are these days. And yeah, it's expensive for sure. It
It's
certainly blocks it makes the barrier for entry tough for a lot of people.
I just don't understand how an amplifier could be that. I mean, I guess Andy's hand wiring them and everything, and like I said, he makes I mean, the amps are nuts how good they are. And he'll be mad if I say it, but I never cared for like the Lucky, what are they called? His
Lucky 13 or Lucky 21 or
Yeah,
Lucky
yeah,
7.
yeah, whatever it was. They're not the amp.
Yeah.
The ODS is the amp. You know what I mean? That's like,
Yeah. Yeah, some people probably like his other stuff. I've heard a couple of them that I didn't love. What was the one called? The Mantis or whatever, his heavy metal amp?
oh, I don't know. I didn't know he made one.
The heavy metal amp thing kills me. We've talked about this before, I think. It's
Yeah,
like, what in the world is a heavy metal amp? It's just people always, the guys that voice these heavy metal amps, quote unquote, that are builders don't listen to heavy metal and they voice them all wrong and they're terrible. You know what a heavy metal amp is? A JCM 800 with a tube screamer in front of it.
sure.
You don't need to make some stupid other thing that doesn't need to be there
Well,
where
there's
you
a
got.
lot of good amps too, and
I
for the
know, I know,
price of it. But if somebody said, let's say I had no amps here, and
I'd play
someone
metal.
says,
Yeah.
"Listen, I got you. You're gonna go on the road with this new metal band. They want you out there. Um, you have $1,000. Go buy yourself a head. There's backline speakers. What would you go buy? You ain't getting an 800.
Well, if you gotta buy used.
Well,
That's
you're
what
not
that
getting a
was. How
used
I
800. A used 800
no,
is going
I
to
would.
cost you 12
If
to
I if I have to
15.
go on tour with a metal band, here's exactly what I'm doing. I'm buying a used DSL 100, the original
Okay.
one, the made in
The one I
England.
have. Oh, the 100 watt of the version I have.
Right, and then
ACM 2000.
I'm spending the rest of the money on toothpaste and deodorant for the band
Christ.
because you know they need it.
I'll tell you right now what I would do is I would go on Craigslist or eBay and I'd buy a PV Triple X version 2, which is basically the JSX Satriani amp
Okay.
that's tweaked a little bit. And that's a phenomenal amp you can pick up for like 700 used.
Would you buy a box of Guitarman hammer to keep your tubes fresh?
No, always.
Gotta
No,
keep
but
it.
but I'm just saying that's like there's so much stuff in the used market. Like how many different metal amps sound different? I mean, if you have a uh, Mesa Stiletto, a dual rectifier, a triple rectifier, a Marshall JVM, an Ingle, whatever the hell that amp's called.
Powerball, Fireball.
Yeah, yeah, exact, whatever it's called. The PV, a 5150 from EVH. They're all roughly going to get you into the same ballpark.
Yeah, by the time you're double tracked and you got a bass player and you're mixed with a drummer, yeah, it's all close enough.
You're in that ballpark.
You know when it's
Except
when it,
nobody has the JVM because it's a metal amp that looks like you should be tapping your toes to can't you see. You know what I mean? It's just like it's a grandpa looking amp that's supposed to be voiced to a metal amp.
yeah, the yeah, I think all of these amps, by the time you do the layering and everything else you need to do, all the studio processing, it becomes, yeah, it just becomes what it is. I think I worry about this stuff way too much. Like the only time, and also it's fair to say, and I recognize this too. This is a bit of my own OCD. The only time I worry about what my amp sounds like in that like ridiculous detail is when I'm sitting there in my bedroom playing and it doesn't matter. When I'm playing with one of
Right.
my bands, none of it matters because you don't hear any of that.
No.
None of the nuance shines through when you got a drummer crashing cymbals 3 feet away from you.
You just need the volume, somewhat the ballpark of the sound.
Yeah, yeah. At that
You
point,
know,
it's like, what are you gonna do? And as
you
we
have
talked
some
about
people doing
before,
reviews, and then you
yeah,
have people on YouTube doing reviews saying, "Yeah, I don't really care for the amp. I got all the knobs at midnight." It's like, what
yeah, yeah,
the fuck are you talking about?
yeah.
God
That's
forbid you turn the knob.
that's disingenuous. I mean, it kind of is. And it's amazing too because sometimes what you hear and what you like, what the shape of your ear canal appreciates isn't the shape of what somebody else's appreciates because everybody's a little bit different.
Yeah,
Like I dial my amps where I like my amps, and the other guitar player in the band is always like, "Man, you like your amps bright." Well, I don't think it's that bright. I
I
got my
do.
treble. I got my treble at like noon, and he's always like, "Oh, it's bright." And when I listen to his amps and the way that he dials them, it's like, dude, that's so dark. You're not gonna cut, you know.
Yeah,
So by the
not
time
gonna
the
be on.
band and inherently by the time the band starts and we all start mixing together, we're like in between songs, we're making little tweaks to our own amps here and there because we realize like in the mix, like he ends up putting his volume or his treble up a little bit. I end up taking mine down a little bit, and it's just little changes happen, and it's crazy how how the amp sounds when you're not surrounded by the rest of the music dictate what's going to be the sound of the amp. It just doesn't work.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, it's all true.
you know who I met this week?
Who's that?
Do you know Mark Hazansky? He runs Tone Talk with Dave Friedman. Have you seen that?
No,
They always like talk Eddie Van Halen and all that stuff.
no.
Oh yeah, it's another YouTube show, kind of like our own. It's called
Oh, okay.
Talk Tone or Tone Talk, one of the two of those. And yeah, he's a real cool guy, really really nice guy. But they're like, yeah, they run that show every other week. I think they do an episode every other week. He's got, I was like 6 or 7 thousand
Nice.
followers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
don't
was
know it.
there at Sweetwater. Turns out he knows Caleb, the guitar player from Nerd Halen, the people
Oh, okay.
that played with us a few weeks ago. And it's just so strange because this guy lived in Florida and he came all
Yeah,
the way up from Florida to the Sweetwater event and knows this guy that I know that lives in Santa Monica. It's just kind of, that's a small world.
yeah.
Yeah,
Did you grab a bag of candy at Sweetwater?
I did not.
Fireballs and Smarties.
I love the fact that they do that still.
I think it's great, but let's say this: ease up on the fucking bitter honey. They're awful. It's like as soon as I get it, I'm like right into the trash.
That's hilarious.
Oh, oh,
Bit o'
bit,
honey.
yeah,
Bit
bit
o'
oh
honey.
honey.
I'm looking for the. Oh, yeah, I recognize these. Do you get a lot of them when you order from Sweetwater?
You get one or two in the bag. It's like, come on, this is an
Okay.
unedible piece of candy.
Wow.
Keep up the Smarties, the Fireballs.
It was made in 1924. It's where it originally came from.
Yeah, they stopped making it in 25. This is just the surplus.
Yeah, exactly.
It's terrible. I don't
Uh,
know anybody that opens up a bit o' honey and says, "Oh, good, a bit o' honey." Yeah, this is garbage.
it is garbage. The ingredients as of 2013 are corn syrup, sugar, non-fat milk, partially hydrogenated coconut oil, almonds, honey, salt, egg whites, canola, modified soy protein, natural flavor, something called TBHQ, and citric acid. I'll tell you, anytime I see partially hydrogenated oils, I generally stay
Don't.
away from it.
Oh, when you see that, tell me you don't immediately think of Die Hard.
No, I don't. What
Oh, when
about
the
Die Hard?
guy's reading the Twinkie ingredients,
Ooh, are you talking
Reginald
about
Reginald Bell Johnson.
what is? Oh, no, I don't think of that. Yeah, I should though. No, I just try and stay away from it because
Man, I was having a
I
brain
think it's
fart the other night.
I
I
think it's
couldn't think of the actor
bad for you.
Roscoe Lee Brown,
Nobody
who
can think
was
of the
on.
actor Roscoe Lee Brown.
You got to look him up. He's on every '70s show, like every cop show. It's on a great episode of Columbo where he plays like this killer's
Oh
psychiatrist.
yeah, I totally know.
He's
Yeah.
him, right? Uh,
Oh, this
Roscoe
guy's
Lee Brown. The guy's outstanding.
good Lord. It's funny some of the things you think of.
Oh, it's nuts. It's
Roscoe.
absolutely insane.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm still kicking around the idea of that vintage sound, vintage 20.
If there's anybody around you that sells Magnetone, just go listen to one.
I'll check him out. There's a guy, I wonder if South Shore Music does it or Matt's. It's funny. I just don't even give a shit about amps so much these days. I just look for a pedal platform amp.
What about well, another one that I heard that was really, really nice was the I think they called it the Z-Lux, the Dr. Z-Lux. It was a 6L6 amp. Sounded great. It's like what they call their blackface tribute.
Right.
It was really, really good sounding amp too. Then they do one called the Z28, and their Z28 is a 6V6 amp. I've never heard that one before. 22 watt
Chevrolet called them up
606.
and said, "There's confusion at the point of sale."
Yeah, exactly.
So
They
when
said they're
somebody's buying a
diluting the
Z28,
marketplace.
they think it's a Camaro. They think it's a top of the line Camaro.
Exactly.
If you're in a smoky bar and someone's using it, is that a Chevrolet on the stage? It
That's
says
so dumb.
Z28. It says Z28 on it.
Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hey, did I tell you? I don't know if we talked about it at all. Did I tell you that my wife made me go to the Anne Frank play?
No.
Yeah.
What
It
the
was,
hell's
it
the
was,
Anne Frank play?
well, you know Anne Frank, right?
Yeah, of course, the girl that wrote the diary when she
Yeah.
was 13 and killed in Amsterdam.
Right. So my wife works for the
Now,
Holocaust Museum, right?
oh,
I think
okay.
she knew that. She works there. She got free passes to go and see the Anne Frank play. So for Father's Day, she was nice enough to ask me to take my 8-year-old daughter to go and see the Anne Frank play, because why wouldn't I want to spend my Father's Day reliving moments from the Holocaust? Makes perfect
Well,
sense, right?
I don't understand why you just didn't drive down to the border. From what I hear, those detention camps for the kids are like concentration camps.
That's true. That's what they say. That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say
Yeah.
when they're retarded.
Yeah, I know. Well, tell me about it. So anyway,
God.
so I go to this play. It's put on by the UCLA group, and there's two things inappropriate about this story, so you'll enjoy it, and the audience will think I'm nuts. First of all, the girl that played Margot, who is Anne Frank's older sister.
Yeah.
Toward the end of the play, she comes out in what's supposed to be representative of the tattered rags that she was wearing in the concentration camp.
Right.
You could just tell she was smoking hot under those rags.
Right. People are going.
Right.
You got the concession guys going popcorn, personal lubricants, beer.
Oh man.
Did he
So,
say personal lubricant? I'll take one.
oh, jeez. Jeez. Ooh. So yeah, anyway, you can't hide it from me. You
Yeah.
can you can put the star on it and cover her in tattered rags and wipe a
Oh,
little bit
right.
of coal dust on her cheeks, but I see what's going on.
Right.
It's a fine young
The
lady.
director's talking to the wardrobe designer going, there are men masturbating in the third row. Get her into something appropriate. Sorry.
Oh man. So then the end of the play comes, right? And there are people sobbing all through the theater. And all I can think, like, bear in mind, this was a very good performance. And
Sure.
it was really heart-wrenching. And as a man,
Sad
you
story.
just take all of your emotions and bury it deep down inside and think of something else so that you're not one of the sobbing people behind you in the theater.
Sure.
But they were all sobbing in the theater.
Right.
And so Kaylee, who's, she's 8 years old, I look over at her and she's a little bit welled up, but she's not crying. She's a little bit sad, and I think it's because everybody else is crying. And I said, "Are you all right?" And she said, "I don't understand why everybody's crying." And I said, "Well, this is really sad. All these people died." And she said, "Yeah, but these family members have been bitching and fighting with each other for the last 2 years. I can hardly blame the SS officer."
She did not say that. Christ almighty.
No, she didn't say that. That's a good bit, though. Got Don Rickles for an 8-year-old daughter.
Yeah, your daughter's like, I'll tell you right now, if that girl came out one more time in tattered clothes giving you an erection, I swear to God, I'd kill her myself.
Oh, let's see how many audience members we lose from this one.
Oh, Christ.
You're not supposed to say stuff like this after going and seeing the Anne Frank play.
Yeah. No, I mean, we had to read those books when I was a kid. And,
Yeah, sure.
I think that, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. If you ever seen the movie Life is Beautiful, I think that is my favorite movie about the concentration camps. It's a Roberto Benigni foreign film, but it's really excellent. I liked it better than Schindler's List, which I thought Schindler's List was good, but it was long and whatnot. It was all right. I just think that Life is Beautiful really is a great story.
Sure. Did you see I'll have to watch that one. You saw what was it called? What was the D-Day movie called? The one that had Barry Pepper in it and Tom Hanks in it. I want to say We Were Soldiers, but that was that Vietnam movie. That's not it. Oh, Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan's the World War II movie.
Right. Was that about D-Day? I can't even remember.
No, it's about World War II. It basically was, I don't know if there was a movie back in the, I want to say 50s, but it could have been 60s, about the World War II family, the 5 fighting Sullivans, and they all died on the same ship. And because of that, the army or the military made a rule that brothers can't be on the same fighting ship, and that if a certain amount of members die in the family, that they find, they bring back they don't let the other fight.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what Saving Private Ryan was about. So his brothers died in the war, and they go try to find him in World War II to get him out of the war, but he still wanted to fight.
Right. Yeah, I gotta see that again. It's been years.
It was a decent movie. I can't say I loved it, but I liked it. It was enjoyable. It was good.
You're listening to World War II, a historical conversation.
There was a great Lee Marvin movie called The Big Red One that I liked as a kid too.
I don't know.
And I'm trying to think, was Where Eagles Dare, was that a World War I movie?
was an Iron Maiden song.
It was, but I think it was a movie first. My father had it on everything. The snow on the ground is piling up. The engines roaring la la. Gang, gang, gang.
It's also a Misfits song.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, you know that I ain't no goddamn son of a bitch. That
No.
song. You never
I
heard
don't
that
know.
before?
I
Yeah,
don't
it's a
really
Misfits.
listen to a lot of. For me, there's one punk band, and it's the Sex Pistols, and there's one punk album, and it's Nevermind the Bollocks. After that, I never got through the second wave of punk with the
Yeah.
Misfits and the Circle Jerks, and that never
Right.
did it for me.
It's not mine either. Not mine either, but I just figured you probably heard it before, but whatever. Yeah, it's funny, these amp makers, they don't make a punk amp, you know. Everybody makes the clean amp, the pedal platform amp, everybody makes the metal amp. And they gotta call it and market it the metal amp. Nobody makes the punk amp. Just talking about the marketing machine. When they come out with the Fender Machete, this is the amp that's made for the metal guy.
Awful.
Nobody says this is the amp made for the grunge guy. The pedal companies do that. They market to different genres. DOD was always great about that in the 90s.
Yeah,
The
they were the
death metal distortion. The grunge distortion.
yeah. Punk guys just would play with the electro harmonics. What's that thing called? The big muff.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, what sounds like? Which was the worst sounding big muff? Oh yeah, that's the one to get.
Right.
Or the rat pedal.
Wasn't that the Smashing Pumpkins thing as well? The op amp version of the Big
Yeah,
Muff.
but that's a good sounding name. That's a good sounding pedal.
I don't know if I call it good.
I mean,
I have.
yeah, I know you do.
I
It's
don't use
unique.
it. It's in a drawer somewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, how many Smashing Pumpkins songs are you playing?
Only one, and rarely ever. So I am back in LA on Thursday, I think. Thursday night, it should be. I've got to figure it out. So I haven't even bought my return flight yet. I might just stay in
Nice.
Wisconsin.
There you go.
Dude, it's so beautiful here, man. I
You'll
gotta
be
say,
a
this
cheesehead.
is great. There's trees everywhere. The air smells fresh. I went to a Target. I gotta be honest with myself. I gotta go to a Walmart here before I
Yeah.
leave to compare the crowd between this and Indiana. Because I had to stop at a Walmart
Oh, it's
to get some
priceless.
toothpaste.
Indiana's.
And I did the Walmart Indiana, and it was just like those stupid photo collections where you see like the people of Walmart. It was
Did
just
you have
like
a rental car and
yeah,
a rental
yeah.
in not a truck?
Yeah, exactly. We spent a few episodes in the past closing our show talking about food,
Yes,
and
that's a good thing.
In Fort Wayne, I noticed that it was 100% corporate everything. I didn't see any. I didn't see any Thai restaurants. I didn't see any Chinese restaurants. It was all like, not even exaggerating. Where my hotel was, it was like Applebee's, Chili's, Red Robin, everything that you can think of. Ruby Tuesdays, they were all there. Every single
Really?
restaurant was like a corporate, boring sort of thing. So it was not a great 3 days for like finding interesting things to eat. But like I said, today we went to Bass Bay Brewery, which ended up being fantastic, and that was here in lovely Wisconsin, where there's plenty of corporate places, but it seems that I was able to stumble upon something a little better. Oh, you know what's
Oh,
interesting
okay.
about this part of the country, though?
What's
There's
that?
there's more Arby's here than anywhere I've ever seen.
Oh, I'm
Like
sure
being,
they have to be somewhere.
dude, there was like, I think getting from Fort Wayne to here, I probably passed at least a dozen Arby's. Just
Really?
right along the freeway, which I just thought was funny because there's one in all of LA. There's that
We
one.
have the meats.
Yeah, the one in LA is like down by the airport, and then there's another
Oh,
one way up in Bakersfield.
well, you remember they closed the one that was in Santa Monica. It's now
Right.
Wendy's on
That's
Lincoln.
correct. That's correct. And there's White Castle out here too. Is there White Castle in Mass?
No, it's a Jersey thing.
They're all over the Midwest and then up
What
through
about
Jersey.
Hardee's? Are you seeing any Hardee's?
No, I haven't seen. I haven't seen a Hardee's since like 1994. I
Oh,
don't know the last
they're
time I saw
basically
Hardee's.
just Carl's Jr.
Yeah, I just think it might be branded in the South though.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Nothing, nothing
terrible.
up here. Nothing up here. No, if I
Not to
gotta
say
get,
it's good or
if
bad,
I'm
it's
stuck
terrible.
if I'm going to a fast food place, I think I'm right. Unless you've changed, I think you and I are on the same page. We're going
In-N-Out
to
Burger.
In-N-Out Burger. Oh, I'm going to Wendy's.
Oh, really?
I'd go to Wendy's instead.
I'll tell you, if you go to Wendy's, you got to try
Sometimes I do In-N-Out. In-N-Out's all right.
orange diet orange cream soda.
You said that before.
Oh, it's fucking good.
I've still never haven't had a chance.
It's so good. It's basically like it tastes like a creamsicle soda diet. It's fantastic.
Well, I didn't see any new gear at Sweetwater, so I can't talk about that.
I hear they are coming out with a button fly Gibson 345.
That's a great one. Now you're getting somewhere. They had it's like, how do I get to the truss rod? You got to undo the button fly.
Right.
Jeez. One last piece of information. Shout out to my girl, Jen Tabor. Jen is the new designer. You remember Soldier Straps?
Yes.
Yeah, Jen now is the product developer for Levi's. She's in control of that whole brand now.
Really?
And her husband's still running Soldier, as far as I know.
I like Soldier.
They still do that. But the Levy stuff that I saw at the show all looks great because Jen's got the eye. So Jen's running that now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's great. So look up some new Levy stuff if you guys need new straps. They look killer. All the new stuff.
Yeah, you know what? I like the 3-inch straps for the base, and I don't see them enough.
But you know what?
This makes the 2-inch.
She's doing away with all the old stupid designs that we've seen for the last 40 years because they're too lazy to replace them. You know the ones.
Of course.
Like the lightning bolt and the caution tape and all the dumb stuff that...
Hold on, let me just hide my stash of straps.
Oh, do you have the caution tape?
I do not. But
all that stuff's going to be gone.
I don't. Mine says police line, do not cross. Here it is. No, I was kidding.
Anyway, yeah, it was cool to run into her. I haven't seen her in a handful of years, probably not 5 years or so.
Guitar straps are one of the things where I look at them and I'm like, who thought this was a good idea?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, even to the fact, remember when D'Addario did the Joe Satriani straps?
Yeah.
I thought those were good.
Yeah, they had some good ones.
First time something's come out that where people are like, oh, wait, look, that's not, you know, they had a cool thing to them.
I still have the red and white one of those.
Oh, I've got the blue one. I've got a couple of them. I'll tell you right now, if that guy wants to sit and design straps and quit doing music,
he's got your full endorsement.
Exactly.
Oh, that's funny. You know who else I ran into that I love to death? You remember John Levy?
I do remember John Levy from Guitar Player. Was it Guitar Player magazine?
Close.
Guitar World?
Close. Premier Guitar.
Yeah, Premier. Okay. No, I think he was with Guitar Player before Premier.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I've known Levy going back from 2003 or 2.
He's a good guy.
Oh yeah, very cool guy.
He's got a hell of a memory, I'll tell you. Like now I've known the guy for a long time, but the guy like can bring up conversations that you had with him 2-3 years ago, and you're just like, wait, what?
Yeah,
it's just one of those guys.
Good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the publisher.
I'm pretty sure he was with. When I met him, Premier didn't exist. It was called something else. What was Premier Guitar called before Premier?
Did it come from the ashes of like Guitar for the Practicing Musician or anything like that?
No. It was called something else. Hold on, let me look.
It says here it was founded in 2007. Oh, it says here that it was originally published under the name of Musicians Hotline through 2006.
Boom.
I never heard of Musicians Hotline.
That's what it was.
It's a good industry to be in. It's hard these days, like a lot of independent music stores are struggling because people are buying all their gear from Amazon or from Sweetwater, taking advantage of those massive payment terms, and so it feels at times like it's tough because people are having a hard time keeping up with it. But a lot of good guys in this business. It's a good business.
There's always been great guys in the business. And have you gone in to see Sunir at all lately?
Oh yeah. I was there.
Tell him I say hello.
I think one of the within the last few weeks, I did, in fact, because I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Are they having success with him there?
The place is getting modernized. I mean, they're finally ringing stuff up in an actual computerized system instead of writing on paper, which is, 25 years after the fact.
Right.
But no, they're doing good. They're doing good.
All right, very good, John. I will talk to you when you get back to LA.
Indeed. Yeah,
I'll talk to you later.
All right, see ya.
All right, very good, everyone.
Later, everybody. Bye.
You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and John.